Okay, so this lesson too just has one small but pretty important concept in it. And we kind of alluded to it yesterday when I put that example up on the board. But this is the form that we want to always be leaving our equation in before we start talking about anything or doing any replacements or any words, any drawings, anything. Now, I'm still not happy with it this way because the way it works here is that all the y's have opposite rules of the x's if you leave it like this. But if you get all the stuff on the left that belongs on the left and all the stuff on the right that belongs on the right, you can use the same rules. Okay? Now, what's the first thing I would do to start moving some stuff on the left? Minus k. So we need to minus k to both sides. So then I would have y minus k equals a f of b x minus h. Okay? Am I done? No. What should I do now? Or better yet, multiply by 1 over a. Now what should I multiply by 1 over a? Y? Y minus k. So this is the form that you should always be putting your equations in. The number in front will always be your vertical stretch. The stuff in brackets with the y will be your vertical translation. The h, I don't know, that's supposed to be a b. The b is going to be my horizontal stretch. And the h is going to be my horizontal translation, right? Now we're just going to do 3 examples pretty quick so you'll be able to see how this works, okay? Now let's just kind of go from easy to a little bit more difficult. We'll go to example 3b. Now, we're starting 3b. We are going to start with y equals fx. Okay? Now, a vertical stretch by a factor of 3/5 about the x-axis. What's the replacement for that? Y goes to 5 over 3y. Now remember, if I started with y equals f of x, then I would have now 5 over 3y equals f of x. Okay, next I need a reflection in the y-axis. What would that be? X goes to negative x, so then I will have 5/3 y equals f of negative x. And then I will have a horizontal translation, 2 units left. X gets replaced with x plus 2. So that should be 5/3 y equals f of negative x plus 2. Does this make sense? It shouldn't make sense. Did I take x and replace it with x plus 2? No, I didn't. To properly do that, what should I have done? I want you to just look at this second, at this part right here. What is negative? X. So what should be negative here? x plus 2 should be negative here, right? If x gets replaced with x plus 2 and you don't use brackets, I promise you that wrong answer is waiting for you in the multiple choice. I promise you, okay? That's the best distractor possible for this question. So then I will go y equals 3/5 f of negative x plus 2. Okay, so that's why this one's kind of keeping us really accountable. And if you know your rules well, this is a very easy unit. If you have two rules that are kind of iffy, you got to hope those two rules don't come into play for any of the questions. Okay? It's kind of like if you had a $1 million sports car, and I just said, okay, can I just take one spark plug out? Just one. $3 spark plug, $1 million car, come on. $3 spark plug. And just see how it runs. See if it starts, maybe, okay? So, know your rules really, really well and practice them, and you'll see this unit is not difficult. And then on top of it, we did it all last year. So, there's a lot of good stuff going for you if you have been doing the work. Okay, we're just going to do two more. We're going to do example 6. Okay, now all I want to do is get the y's with the y's, x with the x's, and fill in those blanks. Okay, I'm just going to give you like 2 minutes. It is a 2-minute question. Fill in those blanks. Because this is another great multiple choice question. Do the same wording all the way through. Just switch those blanks up to get the other 3 distractors. Everybody knows what I mean when I say distractors, right? Those are the other 3 that are always given in a multiple choice that are there to pull anybody who is not confident with the answer away from the correct answer. And you may think hours just go into writing the diploma questions, but even more hours go into writing diploma answers for multiple choice. They are field tested. So when they come back, comments are given on, I don't know if this is a fair distractor. It could be mistaken as this. I went to a math department meeting a couple weeks ago. And in the department meeting, there was a question that split all of the math department heads because they said, no, you should do it this way. And another group said, well, this is what I thought, so this is why I did it this way. Now, that question, and they all wrote in saying, you need to take this off the diploma. Like, theoretically, the math department heads should kind of know their math. And all it was, and you'll learn this when we get into the pros and cons, but if there are 6 seats on an airplane and there's 4 people, how many different ways can they sit on the airplane? Now, some people thought, well, the place where you sit on the airplane doesn't matter, so I'm going to do is a combination. And then a bunch of teachers thought, well, where you sit on the plane does matter. The window seat, the aisle seat, the whatever. So they are different spots. Therefore, order does matter. So I'll do it as a permutation. Right? And it's just how you were thinking about it going in. Now that should not reflect how you do on a question, is by what you think. Is a seat on an airplane unique, or is it general? Okay? Well, when you actually book your seats on the airplane, they're very specific. You're sitting in 7D, right? So that's where the people saying the permutation, right? So when you're doing these questions, they should have no biases in them, how you're feeling, cultural biases, that sort of thing. Okay, now, did anybody rewrite this equation to get the y's with the y's, x's with the x's? Did anyone do that? Okay, what'd you get? Can you just say your equation? Can't hear the rest. X plus 4? I'm sure you don't want to pick or stick up your hand right now, but if you did not do this, I'm pretty sure you got the second part wrong. Because you probably put a 12 in here, correct? Do you know, oddly enough, I will still have students get that wrong in the diploma, and I will still have students get that wrong in the quiz tomorrow. Okay? So even if we just spent the day on, you guys, it always has to be, you know, a bracket x minus h to be able to continue. So now we would see that this would be stretched horizontally by a factor of 1/3, stretching vertically by a factor of negative 1/2, or sorry, negative 1/2. And again, we still have 2. We should all be consistent, even if we took that one out, reflecting on the x-axis, translating 5 units up, and this is where some of the wheels fell off, and it would be 4 units horizontally to the, okay? Now, do you see how many awesome combinations you could put in there to get the other 3 distractors? 12 would be in there. I would go horizontally to the left as well. I would put that one as another distractor. Okay, so you should have the 12 put there, and you should have does not equal root. Don't leave it as 3x minus 12. I should say because you do get a different horizontal translation, an incorrect one. Okay, so you'll have either in that form, or you would have this form where it would give you a graph, and then all it would say is do y equals 1/3 or 1/2 x plus 3 minus 8. Now, what's the first thing I would do to get this thing ready to go before I went to the graphing? Y plus 8 equals f of 1/2 x plus 3. Okay, are we good to go? So this would be y plus 8 equals f of 1/2 bracket x plus 6. Now, I know it's tempting to go right from the equation to the graphing, but you want to put it into words first. So let's do all the replacements. Okay, what is one thing that got replaced with from y equals f of x? Okay, what was the replacement? What's the replacement? Not the words yet. What does? Okay, what do you get? That would be a horizontal stretch by a factor of 2, followed by what? About y. Next. Okay, and what's that? Okay, now here's how you should check if you've done this right, is just use your words and see if you can make the equation again. So I'm not even looking at that. I can't even see that anymore. But if I'm starting with y equals f of x, the first thing I do is take x and replace it with 1/2 x, right? So that would be y equals f of 1/2 x. And then it says take x and replace it with x plus 6. So then I would get f. And do you see how it does work nice? Because remember, we take the whole thing, and then I'll just take y and replace it with y plus 8. So again, that's just my way of checking it to make sure I did it right. Sometimes we look back and just check, double check if we've done it, instead of actually using our information. Go and build it again. From your information, go and build it, see if it matches. Because unfortunately, what happens, I don't know if this has ever happened to you before, but if you've written a paragraph or an essay, and then right after you read it, it's all good. Then you read it the next day, and there's thes missing, and and, and it's weird. Like, you didn't even notice that the day you wrote it, because the day you wrote it, you were still seeing the and the and stuff like that. When you looked at it a day later, you actually took that bias out, and you're reading it with fresh eyes, and you can actually now see all those things. Okay? Same thing when you've done the work. 1 plus 1 is 3. Yeah, that makes sense. All good. You can keep going through. The next day, 1 plus 1, 3. What was I thinking? Okay? That's actually when you actually take your work and remake the question. That's doing it without filling in those kind of things that are missing that are in your mind. So now we are going to do the 3 things. Now remember, use the words because picture equals words, right? So I'm going to do a horizontal stretch by a factor of 2. Now, what am I really doing when I do a horizontal stretch by 2? Okay? Break it down to the basics. Who can tell me what to do on my graph? Multiply every x by 2. Okay? Do you even know that at this stage? When I'm doing a horizontal stretch by 2, I am multiplying all my x's by 2. Okay? So let's just take some significant points. There's a 3. That would become a 6. There's a 4x will become an 8. Okay. The point on the y-axis, that's 0, so it's not going anywhere. Then I have that -2 will become -4. -3 will become -6. So that is what it would first look like after it was stretched by 2. Now, the rest is just taking individual points. Now you've got 4 or 5 actually really good points that you can just, each one you're going to go 6 left, 8 down, 6 left, 8 down. Okay, so 6 left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So one of the questions that will be on the diploma is either the wording, like we did in example 6, or apply this series of transformations to the graph. Which graph will it be? And there'll just be one to pick from. The other thing that I highly caution you is do not go and look for the answer till you've done the question. Because what happens is people actually get influenced by the answers, and you shouldn't. Every question in the diploma you should be able to do it without the answers. Not you should be able to, you will be able to do it. The answers are just there for you to pick, to match. That's all it is, just to match. So you should be able to do it and then match it, every single question. So I challenge you to do it first and then see if you can find a match instead of looking for the one that you think might be right, because they do influence you and pull you in the wrong direction sometimes. Okay. So we are doing 1C, 2B, 3C, 6A and B, and 9. And then Unit 1, practice test, and Unit 2, practice test. Okay, so you've got about 10 minutes of the assignment to do, and then you're going to want to use the rest of the period to start working on the Unit 1 practice test, and then go to the Unit 2 practice test. I will be giving you Tuesday to use it to review any way you like. It may be asking all the questions from the practice test. I know for sure there will be some people just starting the practice test. But the one thing, you guys, that I need to caution you on, so don't try and, come up with excuses after, but this is a review of last year. Plus, we spent a lot of time on it this year. If you do not do well on this unit exam, on the easiest unit exam of the semester, what is it saying? Because it's going to get way harder. It's going to be way more information to know. It's not going to be review. Okay? So then you might need to start asking that